One. You may see just a little paragraph. There's a 2-page extended definition where we lay out what we think are the essential characteristics of cloud computing. We believe this is critically important because if you don't have those, if you're not acquiring those essential characteristics, you're not going to reap the great benefits of cloud. That IT agility, the cost savings, the green savings that you're going to get. So the industry as a whole has pretty much, I think, agreed on the SPI model. That's software as a service, the platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. I think the industry as a whole has pretty much agreed on characteristics of empowering the business customer, the on-demand self-service, the rapid elasticity, the resource pooling, and the deployment models of public and private and community and hybrid clouds. So thus ends my rant. So what I really want to talk about, and where did my timer go? How did I lose my phone? Oh. Okay, what I'd really like to talk about today is cloud security, because that's my background, although I like to do more. And cloud computing, how do you secure it? You want to use it, a vendor says they've got it, it looks good. How do you make sure it's secure? You want to build it. How do you make sure it's secure? Well, let's start off and let's back up and think about where cloud came from. And cloud computing is truly the convergence of many different technology trends that tried to come together multiple times over the last 2 decades. And I think back to grid computing and Web 2.0, I think of thin client computing, even client-server computing, if you really go back. Although some of you are even older and can date even farther. But these technology trends have tried to converge, and then they didn't. And then these technology trends matured to the point where they were ready to converge, and the economic climate drove them together, and we call it cloud computing. And because, in a sense, this is nothing new, it seems new, and it is new in the sense that it is a huge enabler for lots of advances in cost savings and agility. But at the underlying technology level, there's not much that's new there. And so we believe, that you can use the same security mechanisms, models, practices, security compliance frameworks, 853, Rev 3, for example, and you can address cloud computing. But you may need to think creatively in some areas. You may need to apply these concepts in slightly different ways. And definitely you're going to have a different emphasis on different areas. As with any specific technology, you will have a different emphasis on your security needs. So the question is, what is the priority? What should be the priority for securing clouds when you assess and you authorize a cloud? And I am not here to give you that answer. In fact, I don't even have any PowerPoint slides, so not only am I not going to give you the answer, I'm not going to even show you the specific proposals. But I'll tell you what I know. And here's what I know. I know that the European Union has done some significant cloud work, and they've provided you a top 10 list of what they think the top 10 risks are. I know the industry has done a great job. And I'll point out the deficiencies in all of this, but truly all the people that have done this work have done a great job. Under the Cloud Security Alliance, the industry has done a great job of identifying the top 10 threats to cloud computing. However, when you read them, you may not feel satisfied like you were after the dinner last night. You may not feel full, because these top 10 lists and the risks are very general, like malicious insider threat. General enough that it's difficult to make them actionable. And so, to make them more actionable, the European Union, and DISA in particular, produced a document where they have a nice rigorous framework, where they list off a lot of vulnerabilities. They show how those vulnerabilities can create risks in the area of cloud computing. They do try to separate off risks they believe are inherently cloud and those that aren't. And then they map those to the affected assets and to that SPI model, the SPI, the SaaS, PaaS Infrastructure as a Service, and they map it in there. So that's a nice document. Again, it gets you to the risk level, and again, it is fairly high level. So, how do I get actionable guidance? How do I make this real? And for that, I would maybe turn back to the Cloud Security Alliance. They produced version 2 of their cloud security guidance, I believe last December, maybe November. And if you read through it, it's about 90 pages of fairly detailed recommendations in different security domains of how you can get some assurance that a cloud has been secured. This is a well-done document. It's not perfect. One of the deficiencies, well, I don't know if deficiencies, but one thing that it doesn't do for you is that it doesn't separate out what security requirements or guidance apply to what different kinds of cloud models and to what differing levels of data sensitivity. And that's extremely important. So I've done my 8 minutes. I'm going to finish up real fast. So CSA also produced cloud security controls that you can look through. These controls they've done a mapping for you to PCI, HIPAA, NIST 853, the ISO. But notice that they map quite well, which means the control sets are also fairly general and not exactly cloud specific. The ISIMC, under the federal government, Information Security and Identity Management Committee, is creating guidance for the agencies under 12 domains to help you figure out how to use cloud securely and what model you should use. And that's upcoming. And last but not least, NIST is here to help. So lots of agencies have asked us to provide cloud security guidance. I've laid out to you what's out there, and I would like you to grab me on the way out and tell me how we can help your agency. And specifically, what cloud security guidance do you need? And what roadblock is it going to overcome to allow you to do what your agencies need? So thank you.
So good afternoon. I'm going to need a hook, okay? Good. I'm Alfred Rivera. I am the Director for Computing Services in DISA, which actually provides the RACE cloud, which is the Rapid Access Computing Environment, which is the DoD's instantiation of a private cloud. So I'm going to primarily focus on private cloud here, but I do want to start off by talking about when we built the cloud. When we started thinking about how we're going to do this implementation, we had a lot of things to think about, and there wasn't a definition yet. So first of all, I do want to make a comment that I'm glad I followed Peter because I adhere to Peter's definition, and I'm pleased to know that when we started thinking about building the cloud, the private cloud in the department, all the characteristics that were clearly laid out in the definition, from broad access, elasticity, to general user experience, to cost effectiveness, all of those were taken into consideration as we thought about the cloud. So that's the first piece when we talk about race. But the second piece, which I think is really important to recognize, is that just the way we implement computing in the Department of Defense and in DISA follows all the constructs of the cloud. And that's why when Peter made a comment about all the guidelines and regulations associated with computing in general from a data center operation perspective, I think are still compliant, not only for the cloud, but it's also for all operations that we do. So as we think about security, especially in the private cloud,